I'm Matt Murray from Isotope.
And I'm Evan Allen, also from Isotope.
Evan's our product specialist, and we're going to talk today about mastering. What exactly is mastering, how to go about doing it, what kinds of things are you thinking about? So let's start right there on the top. How would you define mastering? What is the mastering process all about?
So mastering is really the final stage where you can make any sort of changes to how your recording is going to sound, and it's really the first stage in delivery. So it's taking the piece of music that you have, really polishing it off and making sure that it's going to function well in our world. And really that's a lot about, you want to make sure that it's going to sound amazing, whether I'm listening on, a $60,000 club system or in a hotel room on my cell phone.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we're dealing with really focusing on the balance of frequencies, of dynamic range. We have a number of tools that we use to make sure that everything is within that balance. And then another part of it really is ensuring that if you have like several tracks that are going to be placed together on an album, that album feels like it's a single piece of art and it's continuous and doesn't feel like it's multiple separate pieces really. So in the mixing stage, you have in GarageBand, Logic, Live, whatever you're working in, you have all of your different tracks from drums to vocals to guitar, etc. And there you're really thinking about a balance between those instruments, making sure that everything has its own little place. Mastering, you're really taking a step back and thinking of that as an already, like everything there is gelled. You're not making any other changes. You're not saying, maybe I should bring down the drums a little bit. Mm-hmm. Everything's already locked in at that point, so you just have like a stereo track just left and right. And with tools like Ozone, which is our all-in-one mastering plugin, you can have it either sort of on your master bus. So if you have, again, if you're working in Logic or Live, you have your various instrument tracks and then just the sort of the stereo output. You could put it on there. One of the things that we've recently done is created a standalone application. So that way I like that because it gets me out of the mentality of mixing.
Sure.
So I can't make any changes where I'm like, oh, turn up the bass a little bit.
You get it to the place where it's sounding the best. You can export that stereo track, load it up in Ozone or load it up in a different DAW and put Ozone on it. And then you're really taking that sort of step back to listen to the track as a whole. When you're mastering, you're making sure that your tracks are sounding good on lots of different playback systems. Because there's certainly been times where I'll finish a track and it sounds great in my bedroom studio or in the studio I'm working in, and then I go listen to it in my car or on earbuds.
And it's interesting in this day and age because we're dealing with certain issues that we didn't have to deal with before. For example, I put my music up on various music sharing tools like SoundCloud, Spotify, or whatever. And one of the challenges that we have now is that in these streaming formats, it's been compressed to MP3 or AAC. Mm-hmm. And those codecs actually do sort of throw out information. And you may notice this, like particularly, I think really the most telling thing is like cymbals. Cymbals will start getting really harsh and really aggressive and sort of at the same time sort of thin sounding.
Yeah, I know what you mean, those sort of MP3s where everything sounds kind of brittle and crunchy up top. Yeah, it's like a weird distortion in the high end.
Yeah, that's something that we now sort of need to take into account when we're mastering is what sort of damage are these codecs going to do and what steps can we take to actually minimize the damage that's going to be that and retain this piece of music that you've been working on for like weeks.
And then I think the biggest piece of mastering, and I know the piece that I'm always feel like I'm mixing when I finish my mix, I listen to it and then I listen to one of my favorite bands, my track's always a lot quieter.
That is absolutely that is one of the things that often does come at the mastering stage is really that loudness, if you will. And even through, even within a single song itself, like we'll be talking about compression is one of the tools that we use to sort of even those levels out. And that really goes back to the balance idea of, like let's say somebody's listening to your song in the car, you don't want them to have to turn up the level knob during the verse and then turn it down in the chorus. They just want to be hands off and just appreciating the music.
Certainly. So yeah, stick around. We're going to go into a little bit more into how to master your tracks. We'll talk about EQ, compression, and limiting to make your tracks sound full, balanced, and just as loud as all the stuff you hear on the radio.